So it is 5:30 and I'm going to call the meeting of Middleton Community Development Authority for October 13, 2022 to order. And Abby, the first item is the roll call.
Lore,
Here.
Olson,
Here.
Furlong,
Here.
Oaks,
Here.
Barron is absent, Weber is absent, and Nelson is absent.
Okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. So the Community Development Authority minutes of August 11th, 2022. Need a motion to approve. Well, I can make that motion. I just read that, went through them a little while ago, so need a second.
I'll second. This is Oaks.
Okay, second by Kario. So any questions or comments or any changes? Questions or comments or any changes? You are happy with it, Abby? You too? So,
Yep.
Okay. No, if there are no questions or comments, all those in favor of the approving the minutes of Community Development Authority for August 11th, 2022, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. So the next item is the agenda is the 2022 financial reports. Abby.
Yes, so I mentioned in an email to you that there are some changes being shown here. And I just have a list of items that I want to highlight for you. For starters, on the downtown snow removal, we've only spent 47% of our budget, and the latter parts of the year are lighter for us than January, February, and March. So I believe that we will see savings in this line item this year. So that's good news. On the banner and holiday light item, this year the tourism department replaced the banners. And so what's being shown here is reflecting a higher labor cost from PKK lighting, which tourism has budgeted for. And so they are going to be transferring $5,500 into this account. And Mari sent an email to our finance director today to ask him to make that change. So right now it looks like we're over budget, but it's because PKK lighting, the cost for labor increased a lot because they had to swap out all of the banners for the new ones. And then for LTE's downtown maintenance, we actually renamed this one. And it's renamed in our accounting software, so I'm not sure why it didn't generate that way in the report. But this one is now called Labor Downtown Maintenance. And this reflects the change from going from the LTE that we were hiring each summer to instead going to a contract basis for landscaping. And we did the RFP process and we selected Bruce Company for this year. The reason that the dollar amounts look off is because the Bruce Company invoices for the planters, so all of the plant materials that we buy from Bruce Company, those go to our public lands department for coding. And they did not realize that the code for labor was a different account. So this is the labor account and this is the for the plant materials. And so our finance department is sending over 5 invoices that were coded to, I think, the wrong account, because I think they're supposed to be going into labor downtown maintenance, but they instead were coded into downtown landscape maintenance. So we're working on sorting that issue out. And then the other issue that we realized is that the HR department is coding our event coordinator to the LTE downtown maintenance, now called labor downtown maintenance line, instead of part-time non-permanent. So that's another change that needs to be reflected and updated for sure before the end of the year. I think that those are I think in the email to you, I flagged that there were 3 accounts where there are issues. There are actually 4 because this part-time non-permanent should have about $11,000 of expenditures in it from the event coordinator that are not reflected in here right now. So it's a little complicated, but I'm working with our finance director to sort that out. And then the only other thing I was going to mention is that our finance director is going to be setting up a non-lapsing fund for programming at the Stonehorse Green, and we received a donation in the amount of just over $8,000 from the Middleton Community Endowment for ongoing programming at the Stonehorse Green. So big thanks to the Middleton Community Endowment for supporting that. And we are recognizing them with a donor plaque on the wall. And that will really help us a lot because right now we have a year of programming through a grant from Madison Community Foundation, but this will help extend that out further. And Kari happens to also be on the board for MCE. So thanks for your part in that, Kari. That's really awesome.
Of course, I have to say, like, I had to make a decision on the fly. We couldn't get, I had to figure out what to do about that. And I'm glad that it's useful. You know, I got advice from Daphne that would be a good use. And so thanks to your staff too.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you.
it will be
Thank
very
you, Kari.
useful because we really need to keep the space heavily programmed, and there are costs that go along with almost anything we do. Even showing a movie like we're doing tonight, we have to pay for the rights to the movie. So that is really super duper helpful. And then the only other thing is that on that non-lapsing programming account, that's probably where we're also going to be coding all the expenses that are coming from the MCF grant. And at the end of this year, once we've accounted for everything and paid invoices for the amounts that we're paying for programming and activities this year, then we are going to be requesting the MCF transfer a portion of the funds to us so that our budget is reflective of the calendar year amounts that we spent. So
Hey,
that
any questions for Abby? So I think that's great, Abby. So I think thank you to Kari for getting that 8,000. It all helps. So I think that's really nice. So any questions for Abby? Please raise your hand. I don't see any raised hands. Abby, you did such a phenomenal job. So it is just changing all those account numbers and things, and maybe the next time we meet, they will be all sorted out, right?
yes.
Any questions or comments for Abby? Karen, any?
Yeah,
Mhm.
quick question on that. When we do have budget surplus, for example, on the snow removal, I presume that just, you know, stays in the overall CDA general account and then,
Yes.
you know, okay, perfect.
Oh,
Abby,
yeah.
is Edward Jones's lease up already? Did it expire yet?
No, they reached out to us pretty early in the process. It goes through February of next
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So I did reach out to them before this meeting since I hadn't heard back. And the woman from the St. Louis office who's handling it, she did respond back to me, and she had a few questions about where we were basing the amount on and that kind of thing. And she provided a couple of comparables, but they were not properties that weren't charging any CAM, and they were not tax exempt properties. So I don't, and they also were properties that included the restroom within the leasable space where ours doesn't. So I think ours is a little bit different. I feel that the offer that the CDA put forward is more than reasonable.
So was she positive in terms of renewing it and easy to communicate?
Well, I mean, she took, I wrote her right after the CDA meeting, which was 2 months ago because we missed our meeting in September. And she replied back and said she would get back to me. She'd received the message and she would get back to me the following week, but then I didn't hear anything. And so finally I wrote her before this meeting. So I would say that the communication has not been great. And I do just want to let you all know that I do think that there is an opportunity that Edward Jones will decide to leave the space and go to another location. And that's based on, you know, someone else stopping into my office and telling me that they were looking at a different space. So I think it's
So
possible.
so what will be our option then? That we will lose certain amount of money there, right?
Yeah, or we could, you know, rent it to someone else. I don't think that we would have trouble filling the space. The other person who stopped in actually happens to be the building owner, and I don't think, when he was talking to me, I don't think he knew that the space that they're leasing now is a city space. So he said something about it, and then I was pretty forthcoming because the offer that we've put forward to them is public record. It was in minutes from a public meeting. And so I shared the information with him, and he then said something along the lines of, oh, wow, that's a really good deal. They're not getting that from us. Something like that.
Oh,
So I think
okay.
that it's
Building owner.
possible that they'll decide to move, but which, you know, would be sad because they're a great tenant in the space. I think they're a wonderful tenant. But I don't think we would have trouble leasing to any other tenants either.
Abby, you said the
Excellent.
building owner or a building owner?
The building owner.
Well, doesn't the CDA own the building?
No, the building owner for the other space that they're,
Oh,
Potentially.
looking at. Okay, well, this would give us an opportunity too to kind of look at this deeper, you know, like if we want to improve the entrance area so that it would have like 2 different entrances or something so they can get into the space separately. So,
Yeah,
That's-
I think that's an opportunity, Kathy. Like when we looked at the space last year, it's,
Mhm.
you know, let's not be in a rush to necessarily to rent it if there's work that we think we could do in between. Like, yes, we'll
Right.
miss some months of rent, but it gives us the opportunity to rethink the
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, instead of 2 big double doors in the front, maybe we have 2 single doors to get into the space separately and stuff. There's options there, so good.
Well, I guess, you know, let's wait for it, but if they say no, I think they will probably give us enough time frame so that we can rent it. So I don't know
yeah,
if we
and
want.
they've been a wonderful tenant. They have really not asked for much of anything. So I think that they would work with us too. And it sounds like the other opportunity that they're looking at, it might require some interior reconfiguration if they do decide to go that route.
Okay.
There might be
Yeah,
some,
otherwise, let her know that we are willing to negotiate, you know, I guess, if you have been happy with them, I guess, we should work with them. Okay, any other questions for Abby or about this, Edward Jones or anything else? Do we need a motion to approve this, Abby, or that's
No.
just, okay. Okay, all right, so if there are no questions and no motions, then we go to the next item, number 2, reporting back, strolling Middleton featuring Stonewall Screen opening and Middleton Jazz Festival.
well, we had a wonderful event last weekend. It was a little bit chilly, especially on Friday night, but we were very fortunate that we were about 95%, I'm gonna say, done with construction, which it was a little bit of a nail biter because Lycon had a truck there actually pouring concrete at 1:30 on the day that we had the event starting at 5. So we were stressing, but I have to thank Joe Daniels and their subcontractors and also Jared Vincent from Psyche Design because they took so much care and so much pride in getting us to the finish line on this project. They were working like late in the evening with Bruce Company doing landscaping, and they have been phenomenal to work with, and they're still finishing up, kind of putting the final touches on some things, including the solar array, which is that hasn't been delivered yet. The gas fireplace, which also we're expecting it in about 2 more weeks. The magnetic door locking system was delayed, and so we put in temporary door locks. So that was a really nice change that they made for us on the fly so that we could use the bathrooms during the event. And then we just got the projection screen set up today because we're having a movie there this evening. They were there last night until about 9 o'clock testing it out and making sure that everything was going to work. The north planter along Elmwood, we're still finishing up that. The reason that it's delayed is because Madison Gas and Electric needed to do some work in the terrace, and we didn't want to put it in and then have them tear it back out. And then we're still waiting on the permanent donor wall as well as the kiosks for the donor wall and the bulletin board display, which goes on the corner. Huge thanks to the Art Lit Lab and also to Matt Stroh-Snyder, our event coordinator, who was there all weekend, working very hard. We had an issue with the locks on the doors, and he was walking around on a timer every 20 minutes to make sure that the doors were open and that people could access bathrooms. He really went above and beyond the call of duty, as he is doing tonight while he's out there in the rain, setting up the projector and the movie night. One of the things that we've learned is that we need to assemble a list that we are talking about calling the Friends of the Stonehorse Green, because that's kind of the group that is going to continue to support the space. But we want them to be easily available to be called on to volunteer, because, for example, the fire kettle, that requires somebody who's the designated fire watcher in order to keep it burning. So we have so many people who have said we're happy to help. We just need to develop a database so that it's easy for us to shoot out an email and say, hey, here's what we need. Mark Opitz, who's our city planner and zoning administrator, put together a really super duper cool video that's on the city's Facebook page about the opening weekend. He edited the entire thing on his cell phone and did a really nice job. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. One issue with the video is that it mostly focuses on one of the 4 speeches that were made at the ribbon cutting. And the reason for that is that we had a problem with fire. The fire kettle began to smoke really badly when people were giving speeches. So he was in charge of going back and like getting air into the wood and the fire, which he worked super duper hard over the weekend. So we only have one of the speeches, unfortunately, that was included in the video. We have the other speeches on video from other people, but they were not included into Mark's video. I think that that's all. I think that that's all I wanted to say about the opening event. It was just a lot of fun, and thanks to everybody who came out to support it.
Did you say there's some extra street lighting or lighting that has to go into lamps?
Oh yes, thank you for reminding me. We have the lamps, we don't have the poles. So there are some extra terrace lights as well that'll go out along Elmwood Avenue and the terrace. Those still need to be installed as well.
Great.
So Abby, one question which I'm getting from a lot of people is sitting. So at some stage, we are going to allow people to have their own chairs and sit on the grass or not?
Yes. Oh yeah. We're actually letting people bring chairs this evening. We just wanted to give the sod a couple weeks because it hadn't rooted into the ground yet. And so we put up signs that said blankets only. And the reason is because if somebody stuck a chair in there, it would create a hole in the sod, and we were concerned that it would create a tripping hazard. But we are going to be able to let people, now that the sod has had a little bit more time, we will let people have their own tables and their own chairs. And I know, like, Kathy and I briefly talked about, you know, concerts on the square. I think they have a maximum height of a chair. I don't know if we want to get that specific in our own ordinances to make sure that one person isn't blocking the next with what they're assembling, if it's a movie or something like that. But that's something we can think about this winter, I think, because I don't think it's going to be a huge issue in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think we want to have some experience, and then it will be much easier to, you know, put something together. So it's good. People have been asking me, you know, about, well, where they're going to sit. So I can now actually tell them that they can have chairs there. So,
yep.
So, well, that's great. I just wanted to say overall, it went really well. And Mark recorded the very best of the best speeches. Looks good. So I'm just kidding. So. And he did work hard on the kettle there, and I think that was very nice. So I know the warmth didn't go all over, but it did provide for people to congregate there. And I think overall it was really nice. And in the evening program, I saw lots of people coming there with children. We were going to go to APT and miss that part, but overall it was fantastic. So I think great job, Abby and Daphne, Mark, everyone else. So can't really say enough of it. So it was good that our finance director and city administrator, they came, but I was really sorry that Mike Davis, he gave so much to it, and I know where he was, so he had to be there where he had to be. So but Aline did come. I don't know whether she was there when we mentioned her name, but I'm sure she knew that she was appreciated. So
Yep,
I
she was
think
there.
overall very good. Well, overall excellent, not just very good. Any questions for Abby? Oh, all right. Kari, Oaks, and then Karen.
Hi there, not a question, but just a comment that I was at Regal Find like right before this, and Jessica said that her Saturday was like a Christmas Saturday. Like she was just like practically just sort of overcome with how excited they all are. And she said DMBA just is like buzzing with ideas. And I know Andrea is often at these meetings, but she's not tonight. And so she just said that it was really like unexpectedly a very strong day for her. So
Oh, that's excellent. So the economic impact is already felt. So that's awesome. Good.
Yeah. So again, wanted just to add my comments as well, that it was a fantastic event. I had been past it a few weeks before and I was like, how is this ever going to be finished in time? So absolute kudos to all of the city staffers involved and all of the contractors and the management of the contractors too, because it's very easy for these kind of things to slip. So that's not just the management in the last few weeks, that's the relationship developed with the contractors all the way through the project, where they'll kind of bend over backwards for you in the final days. So well done to everyone. Great event. It's a great resource. Kerry, that's excellent to hear that Regal Find had such a great Saturday. I mean, this is something I think the CDA, we need to think about, is how do we leverage this new asset that we have now in downtown to, both stimulate local business, but also create, the additional feeling of community and so on. On that point, whether ordinance is required for chairs and so on, let's wait. Let's see if we can rely on the good neighbor city residents to be good neighbors before we start kind of bringing in additional rules and regulations and so on. But overall, really, really well done. Was delighted to see the Elmwood Avenue pedestrianized and split off as well, which I think that added. You had people sitting just off the green at picnic tables, having a drink, going to Long Table or Village Green and so on. And that gave an extra space. I think it just shows the potential for what can be done on that street if we have it pedestrianized part-time, right, for events like this and so on. So I want to encourage that for future events as well. I almost think it should be the de facto, recognizing that we need, volunteers or labor to go and put signs in place and so on, but it really changes the atmosphere dramatically and for the better from my perspective. So thanks and congratulations to everyone who's involved.
I agree with you, Ken. So I kept going there and people kept telling me, are you sure that they're going to be able to finish this? And well, I said, well, that's the plan. And so it was really very pleasing to see that many people didn't believe, and it actually did happen. Carrie.
Yes, I was just going to echo everybody else. I work right down your Middleton Center. And so I saw people working really hard on Friday to get it ready. And I was down there with my family on Saturday, and they had a great time, and kids are running around, and saw all the other neighbors, and it was wonderful to see. And I do agree that little street, closing that down made a big difference. I know that when it gets busy down there, especially with kids running around with the cars are parked, it's really hard to see other cars pulling through. So I did appreciate that kind of being shut down for events. So noticed that right away, but kudos to everybody.
Excellent. I'm getting lots and lots of requests from people that street should be really permanently closed. So I think we have to start thinking about it. So I know there's the local businesses, they don't like it, but in the long run, they would love it. I think it would be the right thing to do, but let's keep thinking about it. So I know the Ken would have to leave. Other staff update on the fall fun, Abby.
Yep. So tonight is the first fall fun night. It is the Fantastic Mr. Fox movie, and Matt also got a popcorn maker and some hot chocolate. So my husband is taking my kids down there pretty soon, so I'm excited to see how many people are braving the very chilly weather today. Next Thursday is the movie Labyrinth, and there is a David Bowie costume contest. And Matt Stroh-Snyder has challenged our elected officials in particular to consider coming and participating in the costume contest. So we'll see how many council and mayor decide to dress up like David Bowie next week.
All right. I need to first see who that guy is and see. So.
That's step one. And then on 10/27, we have Coco, and we also have Nura Vega Moffat, who is a face painter that Matt read about in the Cap Times. And so she's going to be doing face painting for the kids, and that is going to be amazing. And also that same night, we have a group of about 30 UW Urban Regional Planning graduate students coming down at 5 to learn about the project and the process. So if anyone wants to join and talk to the students at 5 on 10/27, you're more than welcome. That will include Scott Heacock, who was our super awesome intern last summer. And then on 11/3, we have, I don't know if this is how you say the name. I think it's Sed Baech, which is a guitar player and singer, will be performing. And we are also working on the holiday event, which will be Saturday, November 19th, but we don't have details about that yet. So look for more information to come on that soon.
Oh, that's excellent. So you will put this on the city website, or you could send a list to the CDA members. So what's happening would be, yeah. Let's publicize it. And if you send it to me, well, should go in the Middleton Times too, hopefully. So I think we want to publicize it and make it known to everyone in Middleton. So that's great.
Yeah, all of the details right now, they're on the Stonehorse Green website, and then Matt created a Facebook event from the Stonehorse Green Facebook page for each one, and he's been inviting it and trying to promote to people. We have it on the bulletin board. The bulletin board kiosk is not there yet, so I didn't go down today. I'm not sure. I hope it's still there. But we do need to look for more avenues to promote the activities. I know a lot of the downtown businesses have the poster now in their windows. So it's a really pretty nice, it's like a navy blue poster with the Fantastic Mr. Fox movie.
Who designed that, Abby? It's just gorgeous.
Matt designed that.
Oh my gosh, it's just fantastic.
I know. When we interviewed him, he shared that he was the Facebook person for Devil's Lake State Park. And I went and looked at all of the photographs that he had taken and the work that he had done on there, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was like really, we're surprised that we got to get somebody that also has some graphic design skills.
Wow,
So,
it's just so professional.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Hey,
Okay.
Abby, can you send that poster to me or whatever is coming up? I'll happily post it in the Middleton Hills mailroom, which gets a lot of traffic for that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy to post stuff on Nextdoor as well to just kind of further push it out there.
Okay, great.
I heard about the mailroom, Karen. Yes, that would be, I'm just joking. So yes.
Yes, it's yes,
I've
huge
been there,
ructions in
so.
Middleton Hills.
Yeah. Anything else, Abby?
That is it.
Any questions for Abby or anyone else? Okay,
No more
otherwise,
questions.
okay, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I will, Carrie, you want to second it? Carrie or Carla?
I will second the motion.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Well, great job, Abby, and great job, everyone, and we are adjourned. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a
Thank you. Bye
great
now.
dinner.
Thank you. Night.
Bye, everybody.